Well, good evening all, and welcome to our council meeting tonight. The 30th meeting of the 145th Council of the Corporation of the City of St. Thomas. Are there any disclosures of interest from any of the members? Seeing none, we'll go to minutes.
I have a motion that the minutes of the meeting held on October the 14th, 2025 be confirmed. Moved by Councillor Baldwin-Sands, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next order of business are presentations. We have a presentation this evening from Kelly Elliott from the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors and Mr. O'Neill also with her. And then we have several representatives from the Public Works area as well to make a presentation to Josh Cousins as Driver of the Year.
Thank you. On behalf of AORS, I want to thank you for welcoming us here to make this presentation today. Our provincial rodeo is a premier event of our association, and of 34 local associations across the province, we had about 24 of them have a local rodeo, and then the top 2 drivers from each local rodeo qualifies to drive in the provincial. So there was 49 drivers that participated in this provincial rodeo, and it's basically they have to drive through several different stations that simulate what they're doing in the wintertime out there plowing snow. And it's a tough course. It's a very competitive group. So you basically have 49 of the top snowplow drivers from the province. And we bring them all together. This year it was in right outside of Carleton Place. Next year it's in Owen Sound. It moves around the province from year to year, and you know it's a very tough competition, and there's a lot of very good drivers there. So it's a real tip of the hat to Josh for winning it. Last year he came in second by just 6 points out of a possible 370 points. This year he scored 346, I think. Last year it was 340. So not only did he excel at the provincial level, but he participated in one where there was 4 local associations that got together earlier this year, and he was the very top driver there as well. So demonstrates a lot of skill and a lot of patience in that truck getting through this course. So excellent job, and we look forward to having him back to defend his title next year.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind coming around just within the horseshoe.
This is really incredible. So you can spend, because we don't get much snow here in St. Thomas, you spend the whole winter just practicing. Yeah. It seems to work for you. Yeah. Congratulations. Thanks. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we could plow our way through that. I know it's weak, but I know Councillor Taylor loves those kind of puns, so I do them just for him.
Your Worship, next council will resolve itself into committee of the whole to deal with following business. First committee this evening is strategic direction and development. The next 3 items relate to committee of adjustment notices. First one is notice of public meeting to take place on October 23rd at 10 a.m. And that's relating to a minor variance by Walnut Park Inc. to permit a rooftop mechanical penthouse and an indoor-outdoor amenity area above a proposed five-story apartment building with a maximum height of 21.44 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum building height of 5 stories and 20 meters for an apartment dwelling. Next item is notice of decision from the Committee of Adjustment to permit the construction of an additional residential unit, a minimum of 4 meters from the front lot line, and an additional residential unit within an accessory structure to encroach into a front yard. And that's at 7 Mary Buck Street. Third one is notice of a decision to sever a vacant lot with a frontage of 78.30 meters on Wellington Street and 30.91 meters on Centennial Ave, and a lot area of 5,217.1 square meters. The severed lot is proposed to be developed with 12 townhouse dwelling units, and the retained lot will continue to be used to accommodate the existing single detached dwelling. Next item is the third report of the 2025 Site Plan Control Committee. I have a motion that report PD 5225 relating to site plan application numbers SPC 0925, SPC 0523, SPC 1325, and SPC 1425 be received for information. Moved by Councillor Kohler, seconded by Councillor Wookey.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to a zoning bylaw application to remove the holding zone symbol from lands in Miller's Pond Phase 6. I have a motion that report PD 5425 relating to an amendment to the city zoning bylaw to remove the holding zone symbol from lands within Miller's Pond Phase 6 subdivision 34T 25501 be received for information, and further that the application by Doug Terry Limited for the amendment to remove the holding symbol be approved and staff be authorized to prepare an amending bylaw, and further that notice of council's intention to pass an amending bylaw to remove a holding symbol from zoning bylaw 50-88 as amended be given pursuant to Ontario Regulation 545/06. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor Taylor.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to grant under the Community Improvement Program for the property at 539 Talbot Street. I have a motion that report PD 5325 relating to Community Improvement Program grants for 539 Talbot Street be received for information, and further the council direct that a bylaw be prepared to enter into a Community Improvement Program grant agreement with JEG Home Solutions Incorporated relating to CIP application 2024-137. Moved by Councillor Gibson, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to a Community Improvement Program grant for the property at 483 Talbot Street. I have a motion that report PD 5525 relating to a Community Improvement Program grant for 483 Talbot Street be received for information, and further that council direct that a bylaw be prepared to enter into a Community Improvement Program grant agreement with HXM Eternal 2 Incorporated relating to CIP application 2024-145. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried.
Next item relates to 2026 action plan additions within the strategic plan. I have a motion that report CMO 4725 relating to strategic plan 2026 action plan additions be received for information, and further council approve administration's proposed 2026 additions to the City of St. Thomas strategic plan action items as outlined in report CMO 4725, and further the council provide input and suggestions for any additional 2026 action items or areas to be considered for the upcoming year. Moved by Councillor Baldwin-Sands, seconded by Councillor Kohler.
Questions or comments? Okay, I have some questions or comments. Should I call Ms. Mooney forward in case she's who will be answering your questions? Thank you, Taylor. Good to see you. All right, Councillor Clark first, and then I had a couple of hands on this side. So,
thanks, Your Worship. I'm puzzled by the timing of this in terms of how it relates to budget planning. And if we approve this, are we then highlighting and saying that we're giving priority to these items next year? I know a lot of them are talking about new capital which would be in the new budget. And so I just didn't want to give people false hope or, false expectations, the public, if they see something on here that they're really passionate about. For example, Councilor Wookie has this thing about trails. And, it calls for a number of new trails to be built. And yet, through the budget process, we might not be able to build any trails next year. So I'm just concerned that we're passing something and we should be maybe talking about it in the budget process instead.
Okay. Ms. Mooney, can I just share with you that perhaps instead of designating them 2026 action items, but call them future action items? In case that occurs, what Councillor Clark has just said, because we can't say, yes, we're going to do something, then go to budget and say we're not going to do the same thing. But that's not saying we'll ignore them. They are future action items. Your thoughts?
Yes, definitely, Mayor Preston, through you to Councillor Clark. We did put these forward as 2026 items, and typically through the development process of the previous action items that have been approved by council. Those are things that the leadership team will have included in their department's capital and operating budgets going forward. So again, not to say that this is a for sure approval, as we haven't gone through the budget process, but typically that is the procedures that we've taken, is that whatever is in the action plan approved by council are things that will be approved and included in the future budgets.
Okay. Who did I have? Councillor Baldwin-Sands, did I have you? I saw a couple hands over there.
Yes, you did, but I believe Councillor Gibson hand was up prior to mine.
Okay, Councillor Gibson.
Thank
You got to really wave because you're short. Okay. That's
Thank you, see over the thing. Just in do the LED lighting, I thought we would have to have them done before January 1st of 2026 as mandated under the new legislation.
Does anybody who has an answer to that question? Ms. Mooney, do you or
I don't have an answer. I'm not sure if a leadership team member present would be able to comment on that.
I see an expert approaching the microphone. Adrian, do you have an answer?
Through your worship to Councillor Gibson, I believe it's 2029. It is later than 2026, as we have included some of that in our proposal for next year's budget.
Great, perfect, good answer. Councillor Baldwin-Sands, now I'll go to you, and I'm ignoring Councillor Herbert. You noticed that, okay.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Taylor very much for the updates for the strategic plan, because I find that when the staff has become involved and when they're on the ground out in the community, this allows them to have that empowerment and the input into our strategic plan as council. So I think the empowerment piece is very nice. The first one I would like to point out is the recreational trails. Maybe Councillor Wookie will be jumping into this as well, but it ties in nicely to the transportation master plan that we were talking about last week, and the emphasis on the north side. And I was hoping that Adrian will be able to provide any further details on that, and then hope that she stays because the rest of my questions are also directed her way.
Okay, command performance. You're not allowed to leave till we're done. Okay, please go ahead.
Through your worship to Councillor Baldwin-Sands, in our planning over the next few years, we do have some trails that are planned for the north end. We are still working on the connecting link, but there's some repairs needed at Waterworks Park, as well as there's a connecting link needed around the Tiny Hope project to link up to the LNPS trail.
Go ahead.
Wonderful to hear. Thank you. My next question is in the same area of Waterworks Park. I frequent Waterworks Park 4 to 5 days a week, and I noticed that you are talking about the Waterworks Dam, and I was hoping that you would add for the strategic plan, Taylor, and you as well, to add investigating partnerships, possible partnerships, whether now or in the future partnerships, and also alternative funding resources, because there are now several different styles of grants that are coming up, and maybe this would be a way to embrace some of those new application processes that are out there in regards to the Waterworks Dam. So I would hope to put that one out as well. And the next is kudos to your department in the additional acres of naturalized parklands that you have put in this strategic plan as well. I've been keeping a close eye on the Wild Wisdom project and the signage that you have been creating around, and you talked about the signage in the strategic plan as well. And we have these unique hidden areas in this community in order to naturalize. I was wondering if either one of you would like to talk about some of those as the priority in the strategic plan suggestions that you have.
Thank you, Councillor Baldwin Sands. We identify areas kind of as we go as to where might be the best for naturalization. A lot of it has to do with dealing with the public, making sure that it's a space that would fit for the users of the area. We have identified some areas specifically in Pinafore Park and in Waterworks Park that are large unused spaces that we would like to have it represent a naturalized area so the public that are using those parks will understand what those plants are there for, and then in turn see it in their neighborhood parks and understand the process. But signage is a very big piece of that, so that the education is there when staff can't be, to be able to explain what's going on.
Okay, go ahead.
And that includes the pollinator pathways, et cetera, that you are creating and have continued to enhance and receive awards for. So I applaud that as well. My last one is, like Councillor Gibson, the replacement of the lights. I was wondering if there's any potential of tracking GHG reductions when we switch over this type of situation. Is that a possibility, and is it something that we should be tracking in our strategic plan? Comments from either one.
Through your worship to Councillor Baldwin Sands, certainly we can add greenhouse gas reductions to the strategic plan if there's room for it. We have added such things as solar panels on the Joe Thornton Community Center. We're working at the LED replacement lights in both arenas, and as well we've converted the ice resurfacers to battery powered machines. So those are items that we can certainly add to the strategic plan.
You have more? Okay.
No, just another comment to that, and I thank you for that, because it's not just what we are doing in those areas, but it's also the additional tree planting where we're creating more oxygen places in the community as well to help reduce our footprint. And I think those are commendable things that you are doing, and commendable that we are adding them in our strategic plan, and I thank you both. Thank you.
Great. I'm going to go to Councillor Herbert, but I'm going to ask Taylor, please jump in. I know you're kind of the guardian of the strategic plan. So as we ask questions today that may be changing anything you're thinking, please jump in. If there isn't, that's perfectly fine too. So Councillor Herbert, then Councillor Clark.
Yep, thank you, Worship. So Adrian, I'm going to piggyback on some of Councillor Clark's comments. I'm sure we all noticed that 5 out of the 6 additions are in your, where'd Adrian go? Are you hiding on me? Are obviously in your department, 5 out of the 6. So, and I'm sure you've probably been, you and your team are working on your budget for next year. Were you aware of these 5 out of 6 suggestions? When we become aware of this, it was your problem to work on these things.
You're not turned.
How's that? There we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
I hear.
A number of those items that were listed in the strategic plan are annual items that we work on. So the trail redevelopment, council's been great in approving trails annually, as well as playground replacements. So none of those in the naturalized areas too. So none of those projects are really of any surprise to us. It's what we work on annually to be able to improve the parks around the city.
Please.
Sorry, just if but obviously, and I think your worship mentioned, we should maybe say 26. We should just say future projects, because everybody will be looking for this to be done in 26, and you may not have the budget or capabilities of getting it done. So, you know, that was a good suggestion that you made there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, you're back.
Yeah, just, I'm still puzzled that, as Counselor Herbert just alluded to, that none of the other departments had any additions to the strategic plan. So if we approve these, I'm assuming then that we're saying that Parks and Rec, to me, it's highlighting some important work here, and it might mean we're going to do 5 less roads or something.
Well,
So I'm just wondering if, through the process, how we landed on what's in front of us and that we don't have items from other departments.
well, certainly staff and this council did such a great job of writing the strategic plan that each of the other departments have many action items that are still in place. They haven't disappeared. These are just some that were being additioned for next year or for the future.
Yes, I'm just going to jump in there, Mayor Preston,
Please.
through Councillor Clark. So the leadership team, all the items that you see on this spreadsheet here are brought forward by the leadership team members. They were given some time to go through. And like Mayor Preston said, 2026 items that existed before in the strategic plan are still there and they're still being worked on and budgeted for. These are just things that through this new process, we're revisiting that because those items were created in 2023, 2024 timeframe. So as things change and as needs and resources develop, we give the opportunity for them to add these for next year, but happy to have them just as future projects so that we're not committing council to these things for next year, but just to know that they are needs and we can go through the budget process as we normally do and figure out what fits where within those department budgets that are approved by council.
But you're absolutely right, Councillor Clark. If I can just reiterate it again, nothing that we're calling an action item actually occurs till it's been accepted in the budget, either as operation or as capital, because that's the final result of any strategic plan that we put forward for the future. So, yeah, yes, we're kind of talking about it early. It doesn't give it preference on budget. It just gives it, yeah, it could be one of the things we'd like to action. Councillor Baldwin Sands, you're back.
Just a comment, and I would just like to add, again, I said thank you to the management team for bringing these items forward because our strategic plans in the past have sat on shelves and have not been looked at. And I just appreciate the fact that they have been bringing it back and taking another look at it and bringing something back to this council to take a look. I am very appreciative that it's not sitting on a shelf collecting dust. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councillor Baldwin Sands, and I know Councillor Wookie is so pleased that that's the case because he made us sign that off with the DNA samples and everything that we would really look at the strategic plan from time to time. Having been somewhere before that didn't do that, apparently, you were quite mean about it. So, further questions or comments on the additional action steps? Seeing none, all those in favor of the report? Are there any opposed to the report? All right, still carries. Thank you. Next item.
Next item relates to key performance indicators, the performance scorecard development for the strategic plan. I have a motion that reports CMO 4825 relating to the strategic plan KPI performance scorecard development be received for information, and further the council approve the development of a strategic plan KPI performance scorecard for ongoing reporting and to provide input. Moved by Councillor Wookie, seconded by Councillor Clark.
We'll go to questions and comments, but Ms. Mooney, could you tell us the purpose, what we're looking at here? It's a new way of us tracking the key performance indicators of our strategic plan so that Councillor Wookie will not be upset that it's just sitting there doing nothing, all right?
Yes,
Please go ahead.
Absolutely. So we discussed this previously as part of the strategic plan process that the need for KPIs was warranted and supported by most council members, I do believe. So typically what we've done here is with the leadership team, we've collaborated as a group and had each leadership team member bring forward a selection of KPIs that they feel relate to the 11 strategic pillars and that are clear and measurable and able to be reported on an annual basis, as well as updated throughout the year where that information is available. So right now you see the draft format in front of you. So there's quite a number of KPIs on there. So we're bringing this report forward just to ask council if there are specific KPIs that they feel should be on the public-facing document, if they feel the public-facing document should just be this whole list, or if we would like to make it a smaller list for the public so that it's digestible and clear and easy to understand. So that final document that you'll see once we have this draft finished and in place and updated, it will have some, I'm calling them colored arrows as it is in the report. So you'll be able to see the types of trends. So if it's a positive upward trend, if it's a positive downward trend, that sort of thing. So it'll be easy to understand for the public as well as just anyone reading and going through the strategic plan. And they will be tied, like I said, to those 11 strategic pillars in the final version. So like you said, it's just a way for us to see how we're progressing, areas of success, areas where we need more focus, whether that be more resources, more funding, et cetera. So it's just, like you said, a way for us to view the strategic plan in a different way going forward and publicly report on it as well.
Great. Questions or comments from council? Councillor Wookie, then Councillor Taylor, Councillor Clark.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'm very excited to see these. I've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm pleased to see it coming to fruition. As far as anything that we might want to add or change, what I want to say is I have confidence in the leadership team, the department heads, that they put something together and that they'll see how it goes over the next couple of years, and they themselves might say, okay, we need to change or add or subtract a few things. I certainly respect my colleagues for offering suggestions, but I'm like, just try it, see how it goes. And then we can, if that wasn't good enough, or that wasn't something that was appropriate, then we can change it as time passes. Again, I think that in a well-run corporation like ours, this is something we shouldn't be afraid of. This is something that we should look at and say, yeah, this provides evidence of what we're doing. And I think it's great that the leadership team got together and did this, because I'm going to guess, I wasn't there, but I'm going to guess that there's some trust and collegiality in terms of going across, because I'm going to bet you that, between planning and environmental services, they can take a look at each other's KPIs and have really good insight on what's going on. The last thing I will say is that, and once we do it and it becomes an established process here, I look forward to us encouraging other units of the city who don't report directly to us, but who we fund, to also have KPIs. That is my ultimate goal, whether it's frankly, obviously we don't control them, but health unit, EDC, library, whoever it happens to be, that we can spread this, because it provides such great transparency for us and for the good work that we're doing. Thank you very much, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, I love this report. This gives you a real good scorecard on what is happening. But a few spaces at the bottom of, I think it's page 2, are empty. I'm just wondering, is that just because this is a draft program, or are they're to be filled in? Okay, so under social services, I would like to see a couple of additions there if possible. We've received many reports about housing and those needing housing and those using the shelter, and especially some recent reports and interviews that we've done on housing. But there's a couple of missing that I would like to see there, in that the numbers of people that we have actually housed, and also the number of people that we have housed out of the shelter. Because from what I can see, we keep talking about the plan to either close or reduce the number of folks at using the shelter, but I don't see it in the strategic plan as such, that we're going to reduce the shelter usage by X number by such and such a date that we put them into housing. So I'd like to see that idea, because we've talked about reducing the use of the shelter to 10 by 2017, or closing it completely by 2017, but I don't see anything here that really measures that and gives me a good feeling that that's going to happen. I'd like to see those two additions, number of housed and the number reduced from the shelter. Thank you.
Pass that on to social services. I had Councillor Clark next.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I think this is a great first step, and it's been needed, and it's great that we're doing it. My only comment would be that maybe rather than having the whole list go out to the public, that we highlight certain departments at certain times of the year. I think we used to do quarterly newsletters or semi-yearly newsletters. And if we highlighted certain departments during certain times of the year, it might be more impactful for the public. That's all. Great work.
Thank you. I have no, Councillor Herbert. I was going to say I have no one else left on my list but Councillor Herbert.
That's okay. Thank you, Your Worship. Well, working in a hospital for most of my life, we had performance scorecards at the hospital for years. The key to it is it's great. It's like a report. You can't just take the report, shove it in a drawer and don't worry about it. The report really tells you what you're doing. It tells you the good with the bad, what you should be doing, how to improve. And number 3 under next steps, develop a reporting format. That's key. You can't just look at it once a year or every other year. It needs to be, I don't know who would be responsible for it to set it up and do that, but it has to be more than, I would say quarterly at the worst. And if there's something that stands out, then that needs to be addressed. And it could be the good thing or the bad thing, but there's no question. I'm surprised that we don't have a performance scorecard here for council or for city for years, but it's great. I'm supported 100%. We really need it. It helps us, not only the public, it helps us. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Seeing none then. Oh, way to go. Maybe some fireworks or something, Councillor Gibbs.
And I wore red tonight.
No,
Can you miss
just,
that?
I suggest you reach out and nudge Councillor Clark, and then when he makes a noise, I'll know have your hand up.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you. I was just wondering if we could also add some numbers in regards to our transit. I mean, I'm certainly with some of our grants that are coming out, hopefully in the near future, they're going to be asking how active is our transit, and are we keeping those numbers? Once upon a time, we used to, and then we stopped. So I was wondering if we can bring that back again. Thank you.
Well, I think with what Councillor Taylor has suggested and what you've just suggested, that there shouldn't be much we do from a strategic planning point of view that isn't measured. Let's just put that in an all-encompassing thing and let the individual departments come back to us with what KPIs will they now measure that we've suggested to them. Councillor Wookey.
Thanks, Your Worship. With these 2 suggestions for additions to it, what is our pathway forward here? I'm going to guess that those suggestions would go back to the leadership team. They would discuss this and then respond to us about whether those additions are things that they think make sense or not. But I'm looking at what's the next step.
Well, let me turn it back to Ms. Mooney. All things strategic plans. Is Councillor Wookey correct? That's kind of what the next steps would be on any new suggestions we have or any suggestion from the leadership team on a change or a measurable?
Yes, that's correct. We will be bringing this back with the leadership team for discussion. As I believe Councillor Taylor mentioned, there are some blanks in there, so we do need to keep collecting data that was previously tracked or may not be being tracked at all, and that will be introduced in the final version in another report to council, and then we will continue to develop a reporting framework, whether that be quarterly or biannually, and make sure that it's reported to council and the public with real-time updates for the data that is available, knowing that some data might not be available only on an annual process, but others may be able to be updated more frequently, and we'll make sure that that's being done.
Super. Did that answer your question? Yes, great. Further questions or comments? Seeing that, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
That concludes the items for this committee, unless there are any items from the members. Your Worship, seeing none, we'll now move into community engagement and services. At this time, there are no items on the agenda unless there are any items from the members.
Seeing none.
We'll now move into infrastructure and civic operations. The first item relates to request for road closure and animal control exemption for Light Up Talbot 2025. I've motioned the report ES 4825 relating to the Light Up Talbot 2025 road closure and animal control exemption be received for information, and further the council approve the temporary closure of Mondamon Street from Curtis Street to Talbot Street and Talbot Street from East Street to Horton Street on Friday, November the 14th, 2025, between the hours of 4:30 and 9:30 p.m. to allow for the Light Up Talbot event, and further that a temporary exemption from Section 6.1 of the Animal Control Bylaw 71-2011 be granted to the Light Up Talbot event organizers to permit horse and wagon rides and farm animals for a nativity scene at the event. Moved by Councillor Kohler, second by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to a road closure request for the 2025 Santa Claus Parade. I have motion the report ES 4625 relating to the 2025 Santa Claus Parade road closure request be received for information, and further the council approve the temporary closure of First Avenue from the north side of Talbot Street to the south side of Redan Street from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. with the east northbound lane available for emergency vehicles, and Talbot Street from the east side of First Avenue to the east side of William Street from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, November 22nd, 2025, and further that access for emergency vehicles be maintained at all times throughout the closures, and further that parking be restricted from 5 p.m. and 8 to 8:30 p.m. on both sides of the roadways along the parade route. Moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor Taylor.
I'm glad you got in on that one, Councillor Taylor. Yeah. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. For those that don't know, I'm happy that Councillor Taylor got in on that because he is the chair of our Santa Claus Parade this year. Yeah, well, they have different titles in the Optimist Club, but he's the guru of all things Santa Claus Parade. So we're happy to have him sitting here helping us do this. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to curbside recycling collection transition. I have a motion that report ES 4725 relating to curbside recycling collection transition be received for information, and further the council support the implementation of option 2 as contained in report ES 4725 to help alleviate impacts to ineligible properties under the new Blue Box collection framework. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor Taylor.
Questions or comments? Councillor Taylor, Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a very complex and complicated report as far as I'm concerned. It took me a number of goes to read through this and to only figure out that the city is going to have to come up with an extra $35,000 in fees in order to make this happen. But I think what's happening here is sort of beyond the scope of the city. This is being forced on us. We have no other option but to have, I don't know how many, all of our police station, Password Park, all of these spaces that are city-owned properties now have to put in a bin at $1,200 to $1,500 a year. I find it very, very unfortunate. I know that a lot of advocacy has been done to try to convince the province or whoever is in charge that this is wrong, but we're going to see it tonight as well under item 26A about the city of Waterloo, I believe it is, that is making a push to try to get this changed. I don't know how we can get in on that, but I would like to know how can the city recover these costs, not through taxpayer dollars, but to recover these costs some other way, to get them back the way we were not paying for this before, but now an extra $35,000 for some change that in my mind doesn't make sense.
Well, if I can do it more global, and then I'll ask perhaps if Kevin can. The reason this is going this way is because we're no longer paying for the recycling side of our trash collection. So although you've mentioned a place where we now may have to put funds in, there's a huge amount of funds that have come out of our recycling collection side. Kevin?
Through the mayor to council, that's correct. In 2023, the extended producer responsibility took on all the processing of recycling materials, and in 2026, they will then take on all of the collection of recycling materials from eligible sources. And unfortunately, commercial businesses are not an eligible property for the collection of recycling, and so council could decide to not do anything if they would like. for those. But we thought maybe we could at least offer some type of level of service, which is why there's option 2 before you. But it is an unfortunate piece, and there has been a lot of advocacy. We've been partnering with the City of Toronto to try to change some of these things. A recent letter received earlier this month kind of squashed those proposals or those ideas. And so we're left with trying to figure out what the next best thing is. I do agree, it is unfortunate, but this is kind of being handed to us at this point. And so the overall cost is a revenue neutral piece to, or a cost neutral piece to the city. So the cost for recycling is now being picked up by the province, and so for residential collection. So we're not seeing any increase or decrease as a result of this change to the municipality, and that's what you're seeing is in the media from other municipalities as well.
Kevin, what would the savings be of, what is our recycling cost side? Not the garbage collection side or the trash collection side, but the recycling collection side.
Typically, the collection cost runs around $650,000 to $700,000 a year.
Okay, so that's the savings to the city. The other things we've mentioned today may take some of those savings away.
To clarify, the Circular Materials Ontario was providing us compensation for our cost of collection.
Okay.
So we incurred an expense, but we also received a revenue equal to that expense. So that's where there's no impact to the tax levy as a result of this change.
All right, great.
Other than the fact that, as Councillor Taylor pointed out, that municipal facilities who were participating in the curbside collection can no longer, because they're no longer an eligible property under the CMO framework.
All right. Another question, Councillor Taylor?
Just a follow-up in that now we're taking out all of the industrial, commercial, and institutional business, taking it out. If they're responsible for their own, I'm just worried that because of this, they're going, would they stop? Would they stop recycling? And I don't want to see that happen. But, you know, as a small business, if that's what I have to do, all this stuff will just go in the garbage instead of through recycling, because now they have to look after their own recycling. I think there's a problem there. So I'm worried that it'll just turn into garbage.
Okay. Councillor Gibson, then Councillor Herbert.
I think Councillor Herbert had his hand up before myself.
Yeah, I know, but I saw you this time, so I'm sticking with it.
Thank you. I'm also disappointed in having this handed to us. My concerns are not just garbage, recycling going into garbage, but you know, we're leading on to some of the charities that have facilities where they now can't get it picked up as they usually put to the curb, specifically the food bank, and then of course the Legion. And my concerns is that it's going to go all into garbage. And the customer service factor, I mean, there is no customer service. We have to understand that there's no customer service. It's unfortunate. It's going to be probably a 1-800 number, government number. And, you know, and it's really sad because now we're going to even have some more difficulties in making sure that we have our recyclables picked up and that it's done properly and going to the right places. Thank you.
Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Worship. Well, for sure, I wish I was a little more knowledgeable on recycling. And Kevin's comments were well taken. I certainly I had to print the thing and read it, and I tried to get it. I've got a whole bunch of lists of new definitions and never heard of. But no, I really think, I'm not concerned. I think it's something new, so we have to adjust to it, and then there'll be feedback. And I wasn't worried about the $30,000. We could be sitting here looking at $500,000 and not have any say in it. So, and I think you said revenue neutral in the end here for us. So it's like anything, something new, we have to try it. I don't see the issues of like the police station. If I have to put out a box, someone picks it up every week, whatever it is. I don't see that as an issue instead of putting a box out by the road or whatever. I think it's something we have to try. We don't have a choice in it. And I'm happy it's revenue neutral, but it's a very interesting read. You know, the stuff in option 2, obviously you're recommending that. I would support it. from your knowledge. So anyway, just my comments on it. So thank you.
Further questions or comments? Councillor Wookie?
Thanks, your worship. I mean, there's no good answer here. Like, there's nothing that's good news for us. And I think about those extra bins sitting around, and I'm a little bit jaded because I think that those always become the community dump in neighborhoods like where you've got these extra 4 or 6 yard bins sitting around. So that's just right away. I think that is, no one's talked about that yet, and we'll see what happens. But my experience is where I live, I can look out my back deck and see at St. Anne's the number of people who drive by and drop off their own stuff in a bin. And just so people, if you're watching tonight, I see you. But just to add that as a caveat of, like, I don't think even if we decide on the bins that that's going to be something that's going to be pain-free for us. But thank you to staff. It's a choice between two things that are neither of them are great. Thanks, your worship.
I mean, if I can share as someone who is on the other side, I actually contribute to the costs that used to be part of us. There's many industries now that have been handed a bill saying you have recyclable product that you sell. So many of the bottlers, canners, restaurants, certainly chains that are now pay a fee, and in the tens of thousands of dollars worth of paying because we produce things that are recyclable, right? So that instead of cities having to pay to take and collect those recyclables, industry is now being charged with the cost of that circle of recycling. And so I get what we're saying, that there still will be a consumer side to this that they may or may not understand, right? But it's a shifting of the cost of recycling recyclable goods to the industries that produce those products, right? From municipalities that used to have to pay for it. So correct me if I've gone wrong on that, but I know what I pay to this organization.
Through the mayor, no, that's the whole purpose of the extended producer responsibility framework that was put in the late 2016 or something like that. So this is just kind of putting that action plan into place by the government.
Yep. Further questions or comments? I think we have a better idea of what we're trying to accomplish. Whether it will accomplish it or not is what Councillor Herberter said, is let's see where we head with it and where we might be. But the cost neutral part is at least an exclusively good part to the city. It's maybe not to businesses that produce recyclable products. So all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. That was the option number 2 that we just voted on. Yes, thanks.
Next item relates to Alma Street design. I have a motion that report ES 3625 relating to the Alma Street design be received for information, and further that council endorse the removal of the traffic signal at Kane Street and Alma Street in favor of an all-way stop. Moved by Councillor Wookie, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
Questions or comments on the report? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
No further items under this committee unless any of the members have additional items. We'll now move into corporate governance and administration. First item relates to the proposed updates to tariff of fees bylaw for planning services. I have a motion that report PD 5025 relating to a new tariff of fees bylaw for planning services be received for information, and further the council authorize the preparation of a tariff of fees bylaw for planning services. Moved by Councillor Baldwin-Sands, seconded by Councillor Taylor.
Questions or comments? Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Thank you. At 5 o'clock, I received a letter from STIBA, St. Thomas Elgin Home Builders Association, asking that they be included in the consultation of this, that they had not. So I was wondering if there's a possibility that we can defer this until there is an opportunity for STIBA to have input into this motion. Hope I have a seconder.
Well, this isn't it happening. This is bringing it forward for next week's meeting where we would vote to accept the fee increase. Is that Am I correct? The next council meeting? Okay, so whichever way we want to do it, I guess, works. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, through your worship. No, absolutely. We plan to reach out to the home builders and discuss these with them, get their input and their thoughts. We put this on the agenda tonight so that we make council aware of it when we start the process of providing that notice.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Further to that, is a week enough to get some of
We don't meet for 2 weeks, but
is the time in between these two council meetings enough time to reach out?
Through your worship, in my opinion, it's enough time. The proposed fee increases here are in line with what all the adjoining municipalities are proposing, and in line generally across the board in the industry. We have the lowest fees in the province, and even after this increase, which based on the current fees is substantial, we're still going to be amongst the lowest planning services fees in the province generally, but more specifically within this area. So certainly I'm open to discuss with them or reach out to them, and a couple of weeks is more than enough time to hear their thoughts, their concerns, and maybe some suggestions, and then I could bring those forward if there's anything that requires a change.
yeah, go ahead, Councillor Baldwin-Sands.
Thank you. Then I will withdraw my deferral, and then I will look for it on that day to make sure that those needs were met by this group. Thank you.
Well, and I think we can ask Mr. Pompili then before, when it comes back to us, will you come forward with an explanation of what happened in your consultations? Okay, great. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to the 2025 budget monitoring. I have a motion that report TR 1925 relating to the 2025 budget monitoring be received for information. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor Herbert.
Questions or comments? Councillor Herbert?
Thank you, Worship. Well, I do have a couple of questions, and one would be for the police chief, and I don't think he's on the line there. I just questioned the deficit of 635 for budgeted grant revenue not obtained. Being on the board for 4 years, I realize that they're applying for grants all the time, and sometimes they get them early and sometimes they don't. And I'm just wondering, is he talking, when he gives that figure, is that all the grants they've applied for? Because they've applied for usually 3 or 4 grants. Is that a one sum total he's not expecting this year? That'd be my question.
I sit on the.
I know you do it.
Police Service Board with
I
Councillor
figured Mark
Gibson.
would have to answer it, so maybe I can read.
No, I can answer that.
Okay.
That there's some are still pending, and many of the provincial grants asked for are in a provincial fiscal year that ends in the end of March. And so, yeah, the police chief is still somewhat optimistic. Some more might still come in. I think that there's been some rotation. Grants that our police service has got for a couple of years. This is the year they're not getting it, and we'll see what happens from that.
Yep, that's good. No, that's what I had thought, because that figure could change easily overnight. Something came in.
Yep.
So my second question would be for Chief Gregory here, who's here tonight. On his deficit, 340, when you talk overtime equipment costs, I guess the first one is you're dealing with the overtime and the fact you're hiring some more people to deal with overtime, which would help. But I'm more interested in your equipment costs from life cycle replacement. Do you have a lot of equipment that needs to be replaced, or are you pretty well in good shape now with all your equipment?
To you, your worship, to Councilor Herbert, yes, you are very correct. So I inherited some equipment in the past few years that was out of date, out of life cycle. So we've caught up, and our requests coming forward, we are in a great spot right now when it comes to, we can't predict stuff that gets damaged at calls or gets broken, or stuff that may, during the operation aspect of a fire need to be replaced. So moving forward, we're in a really good spot, and you are correct. We are going to have 2 new firefighters we're recruiting right now to help offset some of the overtime costs. And again, we can't predict overtime. We don't know what call volume is going to be like. We could, with 3 or 4 house fires or big building fires, that puts our budget out. So predicting what overtime looks like, but Back to your original thing, our life cycle replacement, we're good moving into 2026 and possibly beyond that.
So that new truck you just got in that we were supposed to see, it was on the 401. That really brought your status up, level up with new equipment.
Through you, your worship, to Council. So right now, through underwriters, we are probably going to get there should be something come forward as all our frontline apparatus are new. Our ladder truck and our two pumpers that are first to respond are all within a year old or less. So underwriters will look at that and say, St. Thomas responds with new apparatus that isn't outdated. And that goes back to our providers for our factories and businesses. When they look at St. Thomas, what does your, when you're putting in for your insurance, what's your underwriter's lab report say about the equipment that you're offering? St. Thomas Fire Department offers brand new or new equipment as frontline stuff. So as it ages, even our backline stuff still falls within that 15-year range for the NFPA requirements. So we sit in a really good spot right now for equipment. So it won't be a Chief Gregory thing in 15 years from now that stuff needs to be replaced. But as we sit amongst council here and everybody, you have best equipment moving forward. And that's something, unless, you know, with expansion and growth, that we may need to put something in. But moving forward, I won't have to buy another fire truck.
So that's good for our budget. And I was questioning the thought in the budget, like, would you need a new fire truck next year? The budget doesn't sound like it. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Sorry, Mr. Treasurer, I was hoping we'd get to hear from you tonight finally, but no, we just wanted to talk to the fire chief and, no, thanks, Adam. Councillor Clark?
Just if we, I know we talked about it and I just need to recall, if we established certain times of the year that we're going to get this report, I know the report before this was quite delayed. And so I'm just wondering if we could establish whether it's going to be quarterly and how many months.
Well, I'm smiling because the treasurer and I spoke about that just today, as to where some of the reports are, where are they in the time frame, where are they in kind of, instead of reporting history to us, but reporting future planning to us. So, Mr. Treasurer, would you like to answer Councillor Clark's question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the city doesn't have anything entrenched in any form of policy in terms of frequency, as far as I'm aware. That being said, we are planning on bringing forward such a policy for council's review that will consider both the frequency and the content of that reporting. So look for that likely shortly after this budget cycle. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Woodkey.
Thanks, Your Worship. To the city treasurer, what kind of software? Like, I'm going to think that if we're going to accelerate this process, you're going to need some software to back this up and have to have something that to make this a little more slick. Is that something that's going to be in the 2026 budget, or is there an in-house solution, or is there something you've used in the past? What kind of software is out there to make this a little bit easier for all of us? Thanks.
Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No software being proposed for the 2026 budget. We'll do it in-house, try and improve the process that way before we decide what we want to implement in terms of any software solutions. But I don't think a software is necessary at this point. I think we can do it in-house, and council can look forward to some improvements in its financial reporting.
Super. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next item relates to the council vacancy declaration. I have a motion that report CC 1425 relating to the council vacancy declaration for October 2025 be received for information, and further the council declare the office of councillor to be vacant in accordance with section 262 of the Municipal Act, and further the council fill the vacancy by appointment at a subsequent meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Gibson.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Unless there are any further items from the members for this committee? Council will now reconvene into regular session. I have a motion that the recommendations, directions, and actions of council and committee of the whole, as recorded in the minutes of this date, be confirmed, ratified, and adopted. Moved by Councillor Wookey, seconded by Councillor Taylor.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried.
Next, we move into reports of committees. The first item relates to Integris Inc. Annual General Meeting Report and Resolutions. And I believe we have a presentation from Mr. Jim Hogan, President and CEO of Integris, who will be sharing his screen with us when he comes on.
Is Mr. Hogan here with us tonight? I don't see him on this list, but I know there's another group of attendees. There we go. I saw him flash by. Jim, if you can unmute yourself and move forward to us, that would be great.
Hey, did I unmute?
That's
Can you
better.
hear me now?
I can hear
Alright.
you now. Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Sorry, I'm doing this mobile and apologize for that, but I am pleased to be here, Mr. Mayor and Council and Administration, to provide the 2024 results and then the 2025 Annual General Meeting resolutions. And so my assistant, Carrie Lynn, is helping out on the slide. So next slide, please. She got it. She's sharing. Oh, there we go. Great. So those are the subsidiaries that we have at Integris Inc. And our core business is the Integris Power Lines. That's where we distribute electricity to St. Thomas and many other communities. And we're regulated by the Ontario Energy Board. And one item that we're very proud of is the Ontario Energy Board does an efficiency ranking of all utilities in the province. And we're ranked in the first cohort. So part of the group that are considered to be the most efficient in the province. So something we're very proud of and that we work very hard at. Next slide, please. Health and safety is a key priority, as you can imagine. And we participate in the IHSA Certificate of Recognition. So that's the core standard. Last year, our score was 88%. So that we're quite proud of that. And then we do continue to do significant training, and that's for our staff and communications in the community and to make sure our customers and community is safe as well. Next slide, please. Very community-focused organization, and in 2024, we have over $300,000 in donations to local groups and local agencies in the various communities that we serve, and we also have provided $200,000 in direct assistance. So those customers that have that are in great need, we've provided $200,000 to assist them in their bills. And then also on the bottom of that page is a number of the organizations that we supported in the community of St. Thomas in 2024. Next slide, please. Our employees, that's our key asset. They're, the key people that get everything done and provide the best service to our customers. And we're still experiencing quite a bit of turnover as we have a lot of retirements. We've had 11 internal promotions, which is very good, getting our employees an opportunity to expand their experience and knowledge. And then we've also done 17 external hires. So we are growing externally. We also have various contractors and co-op employees. So it's not just increasing our staff and they're around permanently, but it's also bringing on those to help us out on the various peaks. And then we work really close with a number of the post-secondary educations. And in the St. Thomas area, we have a good relationship with Fanshawe College and then Western University. Next slide, please. We still have good customer growth. So we went up by 571 customers last year. And then in the customer service department, what they're doing is they're leveraging technology. So trying to provide a higher level of service to our customers. And then annually, we do a customer satisfaction survey. And last year, we were at 92.1%. So getting good feedback from our customers and great to know that we're meeting their needs. Next slide, please. We invest heavily in our distribution system, modernizing it in 2024, $18.7 million. So we're really up to the top number. We're $18, $20 million every year. And really what we're trying to do is modernize the system, get rid of the old infrastructure and upgrade it. And in 2024, we list a couple of projects there that were significant projects in the St. Thomas area. Highbury Avenue relocation, which I'm sure all facilities are doing a lot of work in the Highbury area. And then that sub 11 conversion, and that's on Holland Street. So, again, upgrading the system. And then we are investing in smart grid operations. So getting new technology out there in the distribution system. Next slide, please. A little bit about some of the other subsidiaries. Integra Services, that's where our data center is in Chatham. It's still a very strong investment, providing exceptional service to the key clients we have there. Integra's Transmission, right now, it's kind of a slow business. We don't have a lot there right now, but it's still doing well. The next slide. Integris Renewable, this is where we have a direct investment into a wind development in Chatham-Kent, so 15%. And since inception, we've received over $1 million in additional earnings than what was expected at the very beginning of that project, that investment. So it continues to work very well and a good investment for Integris and our shareholders. And the next slide. Just a little bit of summary on the financial results. Gross margin in 2024, it went up by 3.5%. That's through some growth and new subdivisions. Our expenses did go up quite a bit, about 18%, but a lot of that has to do with supporting customer requests, such as locates, with supporting the subdivision growth. We had quite a bit of storm recovery last year. And then with all the investments we are making, we are having to borrow some more funds, and therefore we have an increase in interest. As I mentioned, our investments, our assets are going up. And then our financial structure, where I say we are borrowing some money, we still have a strong capital structure that's below the level of the Ontario Energy Board. That would mean if we have less than 60% debt, and we do, so that's good. And then a key item is we've met all the financial commitments to our shareholders and the stakeholders. And the next slide. So as part of the annual general meeting, there's 3 resolutions we're looking for our shareholders to approve. So looking for you to sign or appoint somebody to sign the resolutions. And the 3 resolutions, one is approving the audited financial statements. They're recommended by our board, and they're presented in the package. The next slide. Resolution for the board members. And these are the Integris Inc. board members. And the city of St. Thomas as a 21% shareholder, I believe it is. You appoint 2 members to the board. One member is Councillor Wookey, and the other one is an independent board member, being Joe Brophy. And I would also like to point out that Councillor Clark, he's also on our Power Lines board, so the key business there. So again, we'd be looking for the resolution from the shareholders to reappoint these board members. And then the last resolution, and that here is just to appoint MNP to be the auditors of the 2025 year end. And with that, that is my presentation and what I wanted to share with council and the community. And I'll answer any questions that any council members may have.
Should we get a mover and seconder for those recommendations first and then open it for questions and comments?
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. I have motion that council adopt the following Integris Inc. shareholder resolutions. 1, the audited consolidated financial statements of Integris Inc. for the financial year ending December 31st, 2024 be approved. 2, following persons be appointed as directors to the Integris Inc. board: Max Fantus, Pat McMahon, Helen Platis, Councillor Brock McGregor, Mayor Darren Caniff, Lindsay Boyd, Seth Whitney, Councillor Steve Wookey, Joe Brophy. 3, that MNP be appointed as the auditors for Integris Inc. for the year ending December 2025.
I'll open it up now to
Sorry, I
questions.
just need the mover and the
Oh,
seconder.
yeah, mover and seconder. Sorry.
Councillor Wookey and Councillor Herbert, thank you.
Okay, now I have a mover and seconder, opening it up for comments. Questions, Councillor Wookey?
Thanks, Your Worship. This is just a comment rather than a question. Just Councillor Clark and I sit on this board. It's a well-run company. They do a great job in terms of succession planning and mentoring which shows in the internal promotions. And I want to thank Jim. Jim is going to retire early next year. And he has done a great job leading the company for a very long time. And so this will likely be the last time we see him. And I see that he's got his Lions jersey on, and he's and I know how dedicated he is to that team. So if any of my colleagues also have questions for me, whether it's during this meeting or after at any time, we can talk about it. I just want to say one last thing about Joe Brophy, our independent. Like some of you on council will have no idea who this is. Joe's outstanding, and he's our representative. I'm proud that he's our representative, independent representative. He's a business owner. He actually, fun fact, he owns part of a natural gas pipeline in Northern Ontario. So he's part of that regulated utility industry. He knows the industry, and we get a great deal of value from Joe Brophy's involvement in this board. So I just want to point out that Councillor Clark and I, Joe Brophy, are here looking out for your interests, and that Jim has done an outstanding job being the leader of this corporation for quite a long time. So thanks, Jim.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Jim, any response from you?
Thank you for the good comments there, Councillor Wookie. And yeah, most likely this is the last time that I'll be making a formal presentation to council, and is a great honor to serve the community. Great working with council. You've been very supportive to myself and all of the employees, and you've appointed the best board members. They're just a great team, and I really appreciate the support of the St. Thomas Council.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolutions? Any opposed to any of the resolutions or all of the resolutions? Seeing none, that's carried.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
We'll now move into petitions and communications. One item this evening is a copy of a resolution addressed to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, from the Regional Municipality of Waterloo regarding Ontario Regulation 391/21 relating to Blue Box. Your Worship, if the members are willing to support this resolution, I do have a motion ready that Council of the City of St. Thomas support the resolution, and further that a copy of the resolution be sent to Regional Municipality of Waterloo and MPP Rob Flack. Moved by Councillor Taylor. Seconded by Councillor Wookie.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carried.
Next, we move into unfinished business of council.
Seeing nothing.
We'll now move into new business of council. Your Worship, it does not appear as though we have any items of new business. We'll now move into bylaws. I have a motion that leave be granted to bring in the bylaws. Moved by Councillor Kohler, second by Councillor Baldwin-Sand.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
I have a motion by Councillor Kohler, seconded by Councillor Baldwin-Sands, that the bylaws be now read a first time, referred to council and committee of the whole, and read a second time.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried.
First bylaw, please.
First bylaw is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on the 20th day of October 2025.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next bylaw, please.
Second bylaw is a bylaw to provide rules governing the order and proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of St. Thomas, the conduct of its members, and the calling of meetings. This is the procedural bylaw.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favors? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw, please.
Third bylaw is a bylaw to authorize mayor and clerk to execute and affix the seal of the corporation to a certain agreement between the city and Don West Construction Limited. This relates to site plan 14-25 at 15 Anderson Avenue, relating to a warehouse garage addition to the existing building.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw, please.
Fourth bylaw is a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute and affix the seal of corporation to a certain agreement between the city and Drishy Enterprises Limited. Also relates to a site plan 0925, 1237 Talbot Street, self-storage containers.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw, please.
Fifth bylaw is a bylaw to authorize mayor and clerk to execute and affix the seal of the corporation to a certain agreement between the city and Indwell Community Homes. This relates to site plan 11-25 relating to 20 Balaclava Street for affordable rental apartment building.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next bylaw, please.
Sixth and final bylaw is a bylaw to authorize mayor and clerk to execute and affix the seal of corporation to a certain agreement between the city and Doug Terry Limited. This relates to file 34T25501, Miller's Pond Phase 6, 1 lot for single detached dwelling, 20 lots for semi-detached dwelling, and 6 lots for townhouse dwellings.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I rise and report the successful passing of the 6 bylaws.
I have a motion by Councillor Kohler, seconded by Councillor Baldwin Sands, that the report of council in committee of the whole on the 6 bylaws be received and adopted. The same be read a third time, engrossed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and numbered.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Next, we move into public notice. 3 notices this evening. The first, notice that a public meeting will be held on November 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. regarding proposed 2026 sewage service rates. The second, notice that the public meeting will be held on November 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. regarding the proposed 2026 water rates, fees, and charges. And the third, notice that administration intends to introduce a bylaw to relating to a tariff of fees for the processing of applications made in respect to planning matters at the November 3rd, 2025 council meeting. No notices of motion, no closed session needed for this evening, Your Worship. At this time, I have a motion for adjournment, moved by Councillor Baldwin Sands, seconded by Councillor Clark.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? We are adjourned. Well, good evening all, and welcome to our council meeting tonight. The 30th meeting of the 145th Council of the Corporation of the City of St. Thomas. Are there any disclosures of interest from any of the members? Seeing none, we'll go to minutes.
I have a motion that the minutes of the meeting held on October the 14th, 2025 be confirmed, moved by